we talked about a lot that Fisher really makes clear that this is a two-way thing happening. We reach out to Hashem, and Hashem is, or no, sorry, he doesn't use that word. I should stay with Fisher, that we reach out, and then he's like he says that you will answer them from the heavens, and that it's a two-way thing. Do it together. God may send us. We may receive messages, and it's up to us to do something about it. We may ask for something, and there may be a response, but we have to recognize it. And also about how in the beginning, he writes, in trouble, answer us, let your unsayableness, parenthesis, Jacob's mystery. And we discussed the fact that if you remember when Jacob wrestled with the angel, by the time it was ending, the angel said, let me go, let me go. And Jacob said, no, I won't let you go until you tell me your name. And the angel said, no, I won't tell you my name. But then he renamed Jacob, called him Israel. And so the unsayableness to us is the fact that what's out there is unsayable. There are many, many, many names for what many of us here call God, but we really don't know what the name is. And it was Jacob's mystery. And I'm done.
Wonderful. Thank you, Saul. Michelle?
Thank you. I was with Dean Drescher and Linda, forgot her last name. She was having computer trouble. So we looked a little bit at the parallelism, but for me, I'll just speak for myself, this Jacob's mystery, what Dean said something that was very helpful to me, that Jacob was transformed by his wrestling or his encounter with the unsayableness and the unnamableness. And then the last line, we call out to your calling. We discussed that a little bit because it was confusing, and so if it's your calling, meaning Hashem or some whatever version of it, what is the nameless one's calling? So we talked about that a little bit and how it connects with us. Thanks.
Wonderful, Michelle. Thank you so much. Alicia?
Hello. Well, Michelle and Saul just hit on everything that our group talked about, but I was with Judy Hollinger and Sherry Gels. The other thing that we liked, I think, was we really were caught on the nameless name, the unsayableness, and just this sort of making of things into things that were sort of not things. You could go that way. And I know that Judy in particular was really, we were just loving the turns of phrase. What we also, I think, thought was around his Buddhist practice and feeling a little bit of like, where is that coming in? And I felt like is in the third stanza where he says, with your nameless name scrawled on our banners, and just this sense of, things that have no form that are now being seen in, somehow being made seen, which was really interesting, and just that sense of paradox coming out a lot. That's our addition. Otherwise, we were caught on all the same stuff as everybody else.
Thanks, Alicia. That was great. Alice?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I was with Sarah Sloan and Margot Cates. And we read Fisher, and Sarah was saying that she liked the traditional interpretations or translations because she's so familiar with them all her life. I'm not at all familiar with them. I'm not sure about Margot because she was having some computer trouble. She wasn't on at the beginning. But because then we read Bernstein, and I felt that was much more accessible. and I could relate to that much more. But with the Fisher, we did mention the unsayableness part, nameless name. And then that was interesting in that it started out with we for the first 3 stanzas and then went to I personally, but I'm not sure. It just sounded very militaristic to me or to us, all of us. And the Bernstein, she didn't get into the unsayableness so much. She sounded pretty comfortable talking about God and he and things like that. But yet I felt that, oh, and then we talked about the 2 last lines. So he can stand to live, the 2 meanings of stand up and emotionally stand to live. We thought that was interesting. It was just a more personal interpretation, we thought.
Wonderful, Alice. Thanks so much. Sarah Siegel, please.
Okay, so agree with the historical preference, and so I won't repeat that. I was lucky to be in a chavruta with Judy Winters and Lauren G. And the thing that struck one of us for the very first time ever, believe it or not, was the idea that making sacrifices, painting banners, these are all things people like. We respond to, if you cook for me, I'm happy. If, people like signs with their, advertising stuff. So it just was striking how humans offer stuff to God from a very human-centric perspective. It just hit us in this particular psalm. Thanks.
Wonderful, Sarah. Thank you. Darina?
I was with Jeremy, Lawrence, and Sarah with the iPad. I don't know her last name. And it's not easy to summarize what we talked about, but when we were impressed with all that talking about war, battle in a very physical way. And we got in the direction of talking about wars and battles and conflicts in the history of humanity, how those wars never ended. And even now every military victory was temporary. And they called upon God for the next one. And this hasn't changed so much, although some of us are fighting different battles now, not physical wars. And at the time it was at least clear-cut, our God against theirs. And then it was messier when both sides in battle prayed to the same God for victory. And we tried to wonder whether it is human nature to always live in wars and conflicts, or it's possible to put an end to that.
Oh, interesting.
Excellent. Thank you, Darina. And we have Michael Goldstein, please.
Thank you. First, my group was Stephen Dim and Golda Lee. And Golda Lee expressed a connection with the Psalms that helped her through a trying time even yesterday when Rabbi spoke about the Levi, and she was able to take it to heart, and the Psalm helped her. Stephen and I had various degrees of being removed from the Psalms, that we still haven't connected with the Psalms per se in our daily life. And we read both the Fisher and the Bernstein, and in general, the first part is an appeal. In trouble, answer us. Or when times are hard and you are scared, hear me, hear me. These first stanzas are an appeal to God. The poet is appealing for help. And then in the last stanza, oh, be our savingness, be our kingliness, our dignity, now as we call out your calling. And in the Bernstein, we know true power lies in you. We speak your name, we know you hear, and you renew the strength of man so he can stand to live. In other words, the poet is expressing a need for help, and he has the faith that in his expression for help, he will understand that the human being is going to help solve the problem.
Thank you, Michael. Lori Krotman, you had your hand up, but I don't see it. Did you want to speak?
I was gonna not.
Speak. Go ahead. Go for it.
We had a couple of things. We talked about the perspective of what perspective does one read all the Psalms, but this in particular, I had read it from the viewpoint of a white supremacist saying the same things as, you know, the people we like. Some different people will use the same words and just come out with something totally different. I was with Joan Friedman and Judy Frank, and Joan had a really beautiful thing when she said offerings, and she talked of our Psalms as offerings. And I was very moved when she said that. We were all, because it's our way of praying, really. And we also talked about our process, how we write them. Do we listen to everyone first, or do we write it first and then listen? And how do we integrate?
Oh, that's interesting.
Wonderful. Jeffrey, please mute yourself. Thank you. I see that Alicia and Alice, you still have your hands up. Is that from before? Or did you want to?
Oh, I thought I lowered my hand.
Okay, we're at 10:45, and I think it's a wrap for today. Thank you all so much for being here and participating with me doing this on the fly.